Hello, my name is Joy McIntyre. Welcome to this first program in the series about classical art songs, which I call Who's Afraid of Hugo Wolf? So who was Hugo Wolf? And who is afraid of him? I'll explain that a little later. I'm so glad you could join us today because I'm very excited about this series. Classical art songs are some of my favorite things. I do hope you will enjoy going on this adventure in art song with me. I first discovered songs at age 5 in preschool when they asked me to sing a little solo. For this, my stage debut, my mother made me a nice long floaty dress, and they stuck me behind a microphone to sing that immortal song, In My Sweet Little Alice Blue Gown. I was terrified. Afterwards, when I asked my mother how it went, she said, "We couldn't hear you. They forgot to turn the microphone on." What an auspicious start. Let's talk for a moment about songs. Why do we need songs? Think of popular music today. It's all songs. Neil Diamond, Elton John, Bing Crosby, Bob Dylan. Can you even imagine rock and roll without singers? In a practical sense, there are lots of reasons why we need song. The human voice is inexorably connected to our feelings, and therefore, the perfect vehicle for expressing all the happiness, sadness, fear, and love that is a part of our experience. It all comes out in the voice. Do you remember, following 9/11, when the US senators were brought back to Washington, D.C., they gathered impromptu on the Capitol steps and sang, "God Bless America." There are some moments in life where words alone are not enough. Clearly, My Sweet Little Alice Blue Gown is not an art song. It's a popular song from the 20s, from a musical called Irene. So, what is an art song? I'll give you some clues. An art song is a song that is intended for concert or recital, a recital of classical music. The melody and the harmonies have a certain level of complexity, again, characteristic of classical music. The vocal lines often require a finely honed technique in terms of breath control and range management. And the poetry has literary aspirations. In later periods, the piano accompaniment becomes an equal partner. These kinds of descriptors, of course, are always imperfect. Not all art songs, for instance, meet these criteria all of the time. The poems, for instance, that Schubert chose were not always of the greatest literary value. But each composer of this genre built on a growing tradition, adding his own special musical gifts. The ability to sing art songs is quite unique. Art songs take the passion and bold gestures of opera, drawing them into a more intimate form, a mini drama, if you will. It takes particular skill and sensibility for an opera singer to adapt to this more private style of performance. But today the microphones are working, and we are fortunate to have 4 outstanding young singers to help introduce this music. I've always been fascinated by the human voice. Over the centuries, singers and composers have taken the 2 basic accessible octaves, about 25 pitches in all, and refined them to an amazing degree, from the high Fs of the Queen of the Night to the low D of Baron Ochs in Der Rosenkavalier, and everything in between, fast and slow, loud and soft. Our singers, fortunately, have all that ability. In order of appearance, they are John Kaneklides, Sarah Rogers, Robyn Rocklein, and Michel Giglio. Please check the credits of this presentation to learn more about each participant. For today, we're going to go back to the beginnings of song, art song. The genesis of secular solo song can be said to go back to the troubadours and trouvères of the 12th and 14th centuries, who traveled around Western Europe bringing their epic songs to the marketplaces and the palaces. At the end of a hard working day in the Middle Ages, entertainments were sorely needed. You will remember Shakespeare's plays of the late 16th century. As you know, they contain a number of wonderful song texts, but you will look in vain for the music. Songs of that time often borrowed popular tunes or were simply improvised. The idea of using notation to write down melodies and accompaniments was given currency by the publication in England of John Dowland's first book of lute songs in 1597. At that time, Shakespeare was writing Henry IV, parts 1 and 2. 1 year later, in Florence, Italy, we have the first opera, Jacopo Peri's Daphne. And this new genre caught fire. From that point on, the floodgates were opened and the sky was the limit for the exploration and development of the solo human voice as a virtuoso musical instrument. So looking to the beginning of the Baroque period around 1600, as the structures for vocal music began to become codified, we can find our first song, Drink to Me Only with Thine Eyes. The author of the poem, Ben Jonson, was a famous Jacobean playwright, a contemporary and a great admirer and eulogist of Shakespeare. Although the music for this song was probably composed much later, the poem is perhaps Ben Jonson's most famous work. Our version has been arranged by John Goodman. The words have become so familiar that it has been used by such luminaries as Johnny Cash, Hyacinth Bouquet, remember Hyacinth Bouquet, Keeping Up Appearances, and Bing Crosby. And now we can add John Kaneklides to that list. John?
Drink to me only with thine eyes, and I will pledge with mine. Oh, leave a kiss within the cup, and I'll not ask for wine. The thirst that from the soul doth rise, doth ask a drink divine. What might I of Jove's nectar sip? I would not change for thine. sent thee late a rosy wreath, not so much honoring thee as giving it a hope that there it could not withered be. But thou thereon didst only breathe, and send'st it back to me. Since when it grows and smells, I swear, not of itself, but thee.
And now we move to Florence, Italy, and the birth of opera and art song. This next song represents a significant moment in song literature. Amarilli first appeared in a publication called Le Nuove Musiche in Florence in 1601. Its author, its composer, Giulio Caccini, was a member of a group of Florentine intellectuals called the Camerata, who sought to promote music and science. With Dowland in England and Caccini in Italy, solo vocal music was clearly beginning to flower throughout Europe. In this song, Caccini plays around with the rhythms, adapting to the natural cadences of the Italian speech, highlighting important words with vocal flourishes. The singer is posing a question to his beloved Amaryllis. Do you not believe that you are my beloved? Take my arrow, open my heart, and see what is written there. Amaryllis is my love. Our singer is Sarah Rogers. And now a short word about the title of this series, Who's Afraid of Hugo Wolf? Hugo Wolf, oh, there he is. He's with us. This is Hugo. Nice young man. Hugo Wolf was born in 1860 in the southeastern Austrian province of the Steiermark. The Steiermark has beautiful scenery and an active musical tradition. Due to its strategic geographical position on the route from Italy to Vienna, operas have been performed in the principal city of Graz going back as far as the 17th century. Hugo Wolf's father was in the leather trade, but he had musical ambitions and taught himself to play the piano, the violin, the flute, the harp, and the guitar. Later, of course, he required his 8 children to also play musical instruments. Hugo obliged by learning piano and violin. He soon developed a passion for opera, which he was able to indulge by moving to the great city of Vienna to study at the conservatory. Soon, he was sharing accommodations with the young Gustav Mahler and shadowing his idol Richard Wagner whenever Wagner happened to come to Vienna. Hugo Wolf wrote over 200 songs, as did another great composer and resident of Vienna, Johannes Brahms. Of the 3, Franz Schubert, Brahms, and Wolf, Schubert took the prize with over 600 songs. Whereas Wolf's output was concentrated on song literature, Schubert and Brahms, of course, were famously masters of other musical genres as well. In a later presentation, I will explain why I think people might be afraid of Hugo Wolf. And no, he didn't write in an avant-garde style. His music stands firmly on the shoulders of Schumann and Brahms, but with some interesting twists. You'll see. As we move through this series of lectures, I think you will discover how each composer's gifts reaches forward and provides the growth material for the next composer's style. A bit like handing over a musical baton to the next runner. And now we return to Italy, where Sarah will sing Già il sole d'arganje, a song by Alessandro Scarlatti, the father of the great keyboard composer Domenico Scarlatti. Alessandro was very prolific. He wrote over 40 operas and lots of other vocal music. This song perfectly demonstrates why young singers are directed to learn early Italian songs for training purposes. It has scale-wise melodies, it has a limited range, the purity and the simplicity of the vowels of the Italian language are so conducive to good singing. In the text, the singer is admiring the beauty of the sunrise in the east, referring to the river Ganges as a metaphor for the Orient.
Stilla dei prato, dipinge nel prato, dipinge nel prato. Col raggio dorato, in gemo ogni stelo, in gemo ogni stelo, in gemo ogni stelo.
Let's go back to England and Henry Purcell. Purcell wrote nearly 200 songs of various types for different occasions, courtly entertainments, chamber music, official ceremonies, what have you. Purcell was active in London during the reigns of James II and William III. Among other things, he was organist at Westminster Abbey and the Chapel Royal. He also wrote a number of successful semi-operas, often called masques. If Music Be the Food of Love, which is our next song, was probably composed in the 1690s. The text borrows from the opening lines of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, but quickly goes its own way. Robyn Rocklein is our singer.
If music be the food of love, sing on, sing on, sing on, sing on, till I am filled with joy. For then my listening so you move, for then my listening so you move, to pleasures that can never cloy. Your eyes, your brain, your tongue declare that music everywhere. Your eyes, your brain, your tongue declare that music everywhere. Pleasures in vain both eye and ear, so fierce, so fierce, so fierce, so fierce, the transports are they wound, and all my senses feasted o'er, and all my senses feasted o'er, while yet the treaty's only sound. Sure I must perish by your charms, unless you save me in your arms. Sure I must perish by your charms, unless you save me in your arms.
And now we come to the sublime Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Mozart's contribution to song literature is not as voluminous as you might expect. He only wrote about 30 art songs, but a number of them are quite memorable, and Robyn will sing one of these. The author of the text, Gabriele von Baumberg, was quite young when she wrote this poem, and the words bear all the hallmarks of teenage love betrayed. Mozart, in 1787, was working on Don Giovanni, and I hear some of Donna Anna's anger in this short but dramatic explosion of emotion. The title is almost as long as the song. It's called Als Luise die Briefe ihres ungetreuen Liebhabers verbrannt. The text tells us that Louisa is throwing the love letters of her unfaithful lover into the fire. They were born of fire, she says, and now she returns them to the flames. In the middle of the song, she has a softer moment of reflection when she realizes that even when the letters are gone, they will continue to burn on in her heart. Robyn?
Zeit und heißer Fantasie in eine schwärmerischen Stunde zur Welt gebrachte, geht zugrunde, geht zugrunde, der Melancholie. Da entlohnen euer Sein, ich heb nun den Flammen wieder unter die schwärmerischen Lieder. Dennoch, ihr sang nicht mehr allein, ihr brennet nur